Hi, my name is Alison Silveira, and this is Group 9 final project presentation. Uh, in our project, we decided to use data from the Brazilian education census. It is a census that has data available since 1995. And first, we tried to use data from more than a year and have a make a longitudinal analysis, but it was a little bit more challenging than we expected. So yeah, we first we just gathered data from 1 year, but it is a lot of data. Just 1 year is a lot of data. As we can see here, 1 year of census data from the Brazilian education census has 16 gigabytes of data, and it is distributed across 13 different tables. So we have tables from all the teachers regarding information from all the teachers in Brazil divided by region, from all the students in Brazil divided by region, also by school, by cohorts, and tables regarding managers. So in total, all those databases sum up to 65 million rows, just 1 year, and they have more than 600 different fields. That's a lot of work. So to import this data is available on CSV format. So to import this data, we used SSIS. So here we have an example in which we are importing the schools table. So we have a data flow here that imports the CSV. It converts some of the fields, and we calculate some of the fields. Why so? Why we did so? So as we were willing to use more than 1 year of data, and as the census changes its survey a little bit each year, we had to make a compatibility check on the fields for all the census that we wanted to use. So we did this compatibility check from 2019 to 2009. So all the fields that have some fields are not collected anymore. Some fields are started to being collected, like this one started to be collected on 2015. So we couldn't use those fields if we wanted to have a database that comes from 2009 to 2019. Other kind of issues that we faced is that, for instance, those fields here, we had until 2018, we had the quantity of employees that was reported as a single field, and in 2019 they changed and they collapsed the data. So they expanded the data. So they are reporting by the type of employee. So we had to make a conversion that we need to treat those fields as numbers, and then we had to create another field that is the sum of all those 13 different fields here. So this is what this SSIS data flow is doing here. Also, we had to translate more than 600 different column names because they are in Portuguese. And so we had to translate all the names here, and we did this using SSIS as well. So this is the input data, input column name, and this is the output column name. So we did all of this. And we tried to load this data into a Oracle database, but we faced some issues. We had a lot of errors. And as the deadline was approaching and we were already late, so we decided to go with SQL Server. As it is a Microsoft product, I believe I don't know, maybe it's more suitable to use SQL Server. And we did. So to do so, we had to create all the first, before creating the tables, before even doing this, importing those CSVs, we created the ERDs. So as I told, we only had like 4 different tables, and we had to normalize those tables. So we created a lot more tables than we had to make the normalization of this data. So we created all the connections as well. And then we loaded this data into SQL Server. This is our database here. So we have all the tables here, and we have all the data stored inside those tables. Let's take a look at the school table, for instance. So here we have a glance of the data, and also let's take a look at the connections that we did. So here we have the keys. So this table has the primary key. There is the school ID, and there is a foreign key that is the school city that points out to this other table that is the school location. So this school location has the city ID and has a lot of other fields here that they all are foreign keys that point out to other tables. So they're all connected here. Let's see if we can see the diagram. This diagram usually don't work very fine. You need to create one every time you want to see it. Yeah, as I said, he always does that. So, but I took a snapshot of this diagram when I did it. So no, that's not this one. This one here. So here we have all the tables connected in SQL Server. All right. So after doing that, after normalizing the data, after connecting the data, we did some queries. So we wanted to extract some information from those tables here. So for instance, we had first we did some queries to get the total numbers of schools. So we have 288,000 different schools in Brazil. We had the total numbers of teachers, the total numbers of here is it reported as teachers, but it's cohorts, teachers, cohorts, and students. So there's a lot of data here. And we did a little bit more complex queries as well, such as querying by state, by Brazilian state, how many schools, how many students, how many teachers we have here. And we did a testing changing the index from one table. So we did a query using a table without any indexes. Actually, just the primary key as an index. So it took 1 minute and 12 seconds to make this query. And then we transformed the state abbreviation into a cluster index. And we did the same query again, and it took 41 seconds to complete this query. So this is how we did this performance tuning, and it worked fine. And was a good performance tuning just by changing one variable, so one index. It's very impressive. So after importing all this data using SSIS and loading it into SQL Server, we also connected this database into Power BI. And the connection between Power BI and the SQL Server is pretty straightforward. So it's pretty much automatic. After doing all the connections of building all the keys and the foreign keys and connecting the tables, it imports really in a very, very straightforward way. So it understands all the relationships automatically. So we don't need to bother linking those tables again. And so here we have all the data. And for instance, here we have the population. I also uploaded different kinds of information like the population, the GDP of the country. So here we have a view by state of the population, how the Brazilian population is distributed across the country. So here we have the São Paulo state is the most populous one. And we see that the population is pretty much concentrated in the coast. So on the coast of Brazil, so the south, southeast, and northeast Brazil is where most of the population is in. And here we can see the illiteracy rate. In Brazil, we can see that the South tends to have a lower rate of illiteracy, and the Northeast, the poorest part of Brazil, and it has a higher illiteracy rate. So we also wanted to see how the schools are distributed. So maybe the illiteracy rate has a relationship with the number of schools and how they're distributed. And we can see that most of the schools are concentrated in São Paulo because most of the population is there too. And we can see that one of the Northeast states, that is Bahia, it has a lot of schools as well, but the most part of the Northeast in the states doesn't have that many schools. So perhaps this can be one part of the problem. We also took a look at the teacher's profile. So let's take a look at São Paulo, for instance. It has the lowest illiteracy rate in the country. So here we can see that 95% of the teachers have a higher degree, holds a higher degree, and just 5% holds only a high school degree. This is a good number, and you can see that most of the teachers are females, and just 30% are males. And in São Paulo, in the state of São Paulo, 71% of the teachers have reported themselves as white, and only 5% has reported themselves as black. So let's take a look at other state, and let's check a other state that has a high illiteracy rate. Just to have an idea, São Paulo has an illiteracy rate of 2.5%, and Maranhão has an illiteracy rate of around 16%. It's a huge difference. And here we can see by the schooling level that in Maranhão, 70% of the teachers have a higher degree, holds a higher degree. So it is a huge difference. In São Paulo, we have 95%. Here we have 70%. And 27% of the teachers holds only a college degree, only a high school degree. So it is a big difference. When it comes to gender, we cannot see that much difference. 65% are female and 35% are males. And concerning their race or color, we can see a huge difference as well. As in São Paulo, we have 70% of white professors, white teachers. Here we have 16%, and most of the teachers have reported themselves as having two or more races mixed. So here we can make some analysis and take a look at how the Brazilian education is, how the resources and how the people are diverse in Brazil. Sometimes the inequality is too big, and this kind of work can give us an idea, a good picture of how the education scenario is in the country. So our idea is to continue this project and to add more data concerning all more years, so we can have a longitudinal analysis, and we can see where we are improving, where the country is doing worse than it used to do before. And this is the idea. So it was a long project. We had a lot of trouble converting this data and loading it into SQL Server. We wanted to use Oracle, but it wasn't possible. But this is our project. That's it. Thank you.